Hey everybody, this is James P. Wagner here again with Local Gems Press, and we're continuing our series today with the videos on Poetic Meter, and today we're going to be discussing Dactylic Meter. So first and foremost, what is a dactyl? It's a metrical foot consisting of one long or stressed syllable followed by two short or unstressed syllables. So it's a poetic foot that's 3 syllables total, which is the opposite of the anapaests, like we said, which was 2 unstressed and 1 stressed. In Latin and Greek, this was 1 heavy syllable followed by 2 light ones, because we're talking a lot about stressed and unstressed syllables, which is the English language. But as we know, poetic feet and poetic meter exist in a lot of different languages throughout the world and throughout history. Here's a few examples of dactylic words and combinations, because with the 3-syllable words, or 3-syllable feet rather, sometimes it requires the combination of 2 words to make the sound. But some of the pure dactylic words over here, we have endlessly, article, and poetry. So poetry itself is actually a dactylic word. And then a couple of the combinations: over the, under it, found the one. So here's a poem that you might be familiar with, or at least pieces of a poem, The Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death. As you can see there, this poem is written primarily in dactylic meter. And the verse on the right, a lot of people actually, when they're reading it, they tend to actually misquote it, cannon to the right of them. But the line is actually cannon to right of them. So cannon to right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered. And when you're looking at it from the form of poetic meter, having the extra the there would actually mess up what the meter actually is. So it's kind of important to note that. It's one of those things that people commonly misquote, kind of like Luke, I am your father from Star Wars, where he never actually said, Luke, I am your father, and various other things like that. When it comes to the dactyl, there's also a little interesting poetic form called the Doubledactyl, which was invented by Anthony Hecht and Paul Pascal in 1951. And they released actually a book of Doubledactyl around that time period. And basically, it's a little poetic form that's 2 stanzas, each comprising of 3 lines of dactylic demeter, or 6 syllables or 2 feet of dactyls, followed by a line consisting of just a choriamb, which is basically stressed, unstressed, unstressed, stressed, to kind of round it out. Like we've seen this in some of the other examples of poetic meter that we've shown, where like the Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, how it has like that the half line at the end that kind of brings it all together. So the choriamb in this case is kind of like that. And here's a couple examples of that. Here's Tact by Paul Pascal, who actually was the inventor of, or one of the inventors of, the Doubledactyl. Patty cake, Marcus Antonius. What do you think of the African queen? Gubernatorial duties require my presence in Egypt. Yeah, know what I mean. So, might remind you a little bit of the limerick in a way, because it's just, it's kind of a form that lends itself very well to, comedic verse. Here's another example. This one's actually from a novel by Neil Gaiman called Stardust. Many of you may have heard of it. Hankety pankety, boy in a blanket, he's off on a goose chase to look for a star. Incontrovertibly, journeys through fairy, strip off the blanket to see who you are. So yeah, dactyl is just another one of the interesting poetic feet that's been used throughout history. And again, even as recently as the 1950s, people have been inventing forms that use dactylic verse. You don't see it as common in a lot of poetry forms or meters like you would see some of the other ones, but it has been used, quite a lot throughout history as well. And these days, as form is kind of coming back into the fold, I know we've had about 15, 20 years of quite a lot of free verse out there, but as poetry meter is kind of making a comeback, you're starting to see a lot more dactylic poems kind of pop out. So maybe you'll give a hand at writing some dactylic verse yourself, or maybe you already have. But that's all we have for you today, and we're going to have one more video in this series, which is going to be talking about the sponde and the Pyrrhic, and we'll hopefully be getting to that soon. So take care and keep on writing.